Hi, everybody.
I'm Bill.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm Bill Mullin from Starin. I'm the CEO, and I'm really glad to have Paul Richards with me, who,
Hey, everybody. I'm Paul Richards from PTZOptics and HuddleCam HD, and I'm super excited to be here.
well, the whole reason why we're getting together today is to help you understand what is this Presence Summit I'm hearing about, and how is it going to help me in any way? How is it going to be something that I can hopefully come to a better understanding of the customer? Before we get started, I want to turn it over to Paul to conduct a little survey and learn something.
Yeah, so everybody here, and we can put this in the chat, Mark. If you want to go to streamgeeks.live, we have the ability to do a quick little survey. So you can go to streamgeeks.live, and we just wanted to poll everybody really quickly on just some interesting questions. It's going to be a little bit fun. So I'll give everybody a second to go there, and we're going to do a couple quick polls to just gauge everybody's expertise and experience with online meetings and video communications, along with some fun jokes as well. And so here we go. Is everybody, you want to just say hi in the chat? Let us know that you're there. Just let us know. Let me know when you're there, and we'll go ahead and start this. Hi, Neil. And we'll go ahead and roll it. Hi, Dennis. Just let me know you're here, and I'm going to go ahead and start this. You got to go to streamgeeks.live, and we'll go ahead and hit play, and we will roll it. All right. Hi, Paul. Okay. So we're going to start this off. Everyone's at streamgeeks.live. Here we go. Boom. All right. So here's the first question. And this is just a fun one. If you had to give up one music genre to end COVID-19, what would it be? Rock and roll, country, jazz, or blues? Probably should have put hip hop in there too. So let me know, guys. You guys could just do your votes there. It looks like 2 people would say country, and we have a few people for jazz. Uh-oh. Looks like they want to give up jazz, Bill.
You're breaking my heart.
It's a lose-lose situation there anyway. So, all right. So the next question is, how many folks out here attend more than 5 meetings a week? And if you're just joining, you can go to streamgeeks.live. Gabe Montoya is saying country all the way. Now, give up country. Okay. This is an interesting question because we're trying to gauge everyone's, where you're at with how many online meetings you're doing a week. So yes or no, do you attend more than 5 online meetings a week? So 88% of people are saying yes, they attend over 5 meetings a week online. Only 13% are saying no. Now, here's the next question. Do you attend more than 10 online meetings a week? That would be 2 every single day. And webinars count, so this one counts as well. Do you attend more than 10 online meetings a week? And if you're just joining at streamgeeks.live, here we go. Staying strong. 88% still do attend more than 10 online meetings a week. Now we're bumping it up to 20. Now this would literally be 4 meetings a day, 5 days a week, 20 online meetings a week. And then we are going somewhere with this, guys. So thank you for the poll results here. Now we're getting more like 50-50 here. Some folks up 57, 43. So gauging everybody, it looks like somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 online meetings a week is where most of our audience is today. And this is helpful. So next question, now you're doing these 10 online meetings a week, but online meetings are not the only tools that we have available out there. Zoom obviously is a really popular one, but there's Slack, there's Office 365, there's Google G Suite, there's Zoom. Which unified communications, online communication tool helps you get the most work done? So this is an interesting one. We got questions all over the map here. Everyone's saying Zoom. So this is interesting. So not only are we having lots of online meetings, but Zoom is helping us get the most work done. This is just with our own crowd. And then one last question for you. This one's throwing one out to Chris Netto over there. Do you participate in the AV and the AM shows on Sunday? Just thought I'd throw that in there for Chris. Let us know. We'll show the results in a second. But what we wanted to do here was poll the audience and see how many online meetings a week we're doing and, what type of software we're using. We've got one person in the audience that says, yes, they do attend the AV and the AM on Sunday. Well, some of us have to go to church on Sundays, so I get it. But here's the last question, and this is the most important one. Have you ever taken part in professional development for online communications? So this could be anything. It could be a meeting. It could be a webinar. It could be, anything where you were being trained on how to be a better online communicator. With all this time, spending 10, 20 meetings a week on online meetings, have you ever spent the time? And the answers are actually yes. So 67% of us, 75% of us have spent time in professional development for online communication. So that actually surprises me. I thought that number would be lower. I think in the broad world out there, that number is much lower. But thank you, everybody, for doing the polling. That's awesome. That reveals a lot, I think.
That leads right into, obviously, why we are here today to talk about a coming event. I hesitate to even say event because we're really trying to make it an experience. We're trying to make it an encounter. Paul and I looked at what we could do to really add some value to the online experience. So Paul, give me a couple points on what you think about why the present summit.
Well, virtual events are basically replacing in-person events. And essentially, hundreds of millions of people have started using online communications. Zoom went from 30 million users to over 300 million users in a very short amount of time. And as Pro AV integrators, as folks who are trying to help service our customers, we really need to change the way we think about the whole world of connectivity and online communications. So we looked at this as an opportunity to provide end user professional development while at the same time generating end user demand and merging the worlds of our channel partners and the end users in the process.
Yeah, I think we're really changing what used to be called video conferencing. And that's why we thought of calling this event Video Conferencing Day. But my impression of video conferencing is it's a dated term. It's when we used to go down the hall to a special room where we would have an island of video communications. And now really video is present everywhere, from our phones, obviously, to our laptops, our pads, on through to the conference room, huddle spaces, and now the home office environments, and they're starting to change. So we've all moved to this virtual experience of online, and the hybrid is one of the things that is also going to be new to us. So there's a lot of adaptation here. It really represents a great opportunity for those of us in professional communications. We also wanted to change the Pro AV conversation and experience. We want to be an example of experience building through what we're doing in the conference. Again, not only just to make it a one-shot event, but to make it something that has lasting value. We'll talk about that. In addition to that, experience building itself, we want to bring that into the AV consciousness. Let's put it that way, right, Paul? So
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes down to this particular word of advice, 3 words of advice: show your work. There's actually a great book by Austin Kleon that is titled that. And what I have here is not from that book, but it is regarding we in the AV channel, how we view the approach and means we use to get customers to understand what we can do for them. In the former model, I would call it, it was a sell it to me, install it for me, fix it for me, and optimize it for me expectation of the customer. And that's really changing to a show me model. And so in that, it's show me how you will help, how you'll give ROI, really illustrate and demonstrate the capabilities that you will make an impact on an organization. Then let me try it to prove it to me. Then drive my full adoption. No longer just turnkey it, meaning here's the key, I'm leaving now. I think by way of managed services and other consciousness of service that we've started to gain, we're tying that together. We're making a bridge from installation and implementation on through to use, and then guarantee my business outcome in that use case. So Paul, we're really starting to look at how do you create a journey of your value? How do you take your customers through that value? What are your thoughts about this particular area?
Well, I think that everyone's adaptation is key for survival, right? And everything has changed so much so quickly, and I think that we need to live and breathe the new online communications world, and that means whether that means using Zoom or WebEx or Office 365 or Microsoft Teams, and doing it to the best of your capabilities, and showing the customer from your perspective, how are you running amazing meetings? How are you collaborating and sharing? And then how are you installing these systems and showing the customers along the way and looking for value add throughout the whole process? So, at our company, we do a lot of live streaming, and there's a lot of value add. There's a lot of question marks in customers' minds. How do I set up a streaming system? How do I do this? And by showing them through the process, it's always that raising of the eyebrow, showing exactly what they want, and they come to you more as you trying to show them something new. At this point, everybody knows how to use Zoom. Video conferencing is no longer what is that anymore? It's we already have it, we already do it. So showing them going beyond that, I think, is going to be crucial as we try to continue to push the envelope, continue to show collaboration solutions. We have to take it beyond the web page into actual, implementations for customers who need to see what it's going to do for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So using online video as a primary mode to connect to your customers is really where we started, and we're asking you to ask yourself how you can be more present. In that respect, how is online digital video postings of your projects in progress and that sort of thing for those install solution providers? Today, we want to show you a little bit of the inside of what we are putting together in the way of the summit itself. So Paul, run us through from its inception, kind of where we started to build up the whole process.
Sure. And one of the things that I think is really incredible here, as we all know, many segments of the market are slowing down right now into a recession. Online communications is absolutely on fire. And it's kind of funny when COVID-19 spikes happen, the Zoom stock goes up, right? I mean, video communications are really smoking hot right now, and it's a great part of the industry, but it's changed so much. And so what we think what the present summit can do is help tell the new conversation of professional development to further what people can do with video communications. And that is a massive value add. So, Bill is very connected in the industry, so he's put us in touch with many thought leaders in the industry. And we said, let's put this full day of education together where we can deliver the world through live streaming, through video communications, through workshops and breakout sessions, Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, all of these great leverage opportunities to deliver online networking and community building tools with amazing keynote speakers. And that value is going to leave a massive impression on hopefully a very large audience that we can start doing some of this market building with our channel partners.
Yes, we have a good lineup of people who, from a AV communications expertise, are going to delve into certain areas of change and transformation that we can help our customers through. In addition to that, though, Paul and I went outside the industry. We realized that in order to help the customer, we needed ourselves, Paul and I and our organizations, we needed the industry, and therefore we all needed to be emblematic. We needed to represent what is it about in terms of experience building and in terms of providing a gateway, providing ways that companies can adapt and be more productive in the end to have an impact. So we went, and first and foremost, we were kicking around. First, I was citing to Paul, hey, you really have a unique combination of marketing skills that are not the conventional pitching at somebody in the way of selling, but you truly are building a community and getting folks to understand, how you can help them get the job done, whatever that happens to be. And it's done by way of a lot of video connection, and it's done by using social media as that connection. And we got into the discussion of experience building. And I said, well, have you read the book by Joe Pyne, The Experience Economy? And so you're saying, who is this Joe Pyne? A lot of folks don't know him. But from the point of introducing the book to Paul, he went and took it and made references to it inside of his new book. And we'll talk about that in a second. And lo and behold, Joe Pyne got in contact with him to say, I like what you're doing and saying here. And Joe was introduced to what we were putting together at that point in terms of the day, and said, I'd love to basically take my book, which is under revision, and apply what's happening in this new virtual world of experience. And so Paul, share a little bit about that Joe Pyne encounter. The guy literally is a forefather in this whole way of thinking from that book, which came about right at the turn of the century, 2000.
Yeah, I mean, and many, many people know of Joe Pyne. I mean, he's done keynote speeches all around the world, internationally known in the business world. And we wanted to try to reach out to him to say, first of all, how can we make an experience that can via Zoom, right? So we can really lead virtual events. And for many of our channel partners, I have to imagine, because I've talked to so many of you about this, that your customers want to do virtual events, right? Your customers want to be more engaging and online. And so what Joe has helped us design and create, we want to give to you guys. We want to give it to your customers because it's such great value. But I think Bill actually, well, before we get to what Joe has helped us design and morph Zoom really and some of the tools into, Bill, why don't you explain kind of the core of the experience economy and what this means for transforming our businesses in general?
Yeah, and I really, really hope this enlightens, to use what is often a point of, realization where you go, wow, yeah, I need to remodel my business. A lot of people are thinking about reimagining their business for as everybody else is shifting. And to do that, I think you really want to take a good look at this pyramid in terms of the ascending value. The higher you go in this, the greater engagement and the greater optimum relationship that you have with your customer. At the bottom, of course, is commodities. And commodities are basic materials, and it's somebody just looking for something, and it's very much a what's my price scenario. Once we get to goods, it's about the product. And if you are in product land, you are stuck on features and benefits in terms of a method of proposing to the customer how something might benefit them. Once you get into services, and there has been a great shift, at least from an attention standpoint. Commercial Integrator Magazine took a poll in early 19, and it was still showing many people don't have a service offering. But I think everybody is now alert and aware that they need to start migrating towards services wrapped around. But really, it's when you get to experiences that ends up being beyond the interaction with the customer to a more lasting, ongoing value with them. And ultimately, transformation is where you've really done something to help them propel their organization to grow as an individual. And we're trying to build that into the summit, as you might tell from some of the program aspects of it. And so that transformation stage, it requires a whole different approach in terms of assessment. You're not just assessing needs of what stuff, the equipment that they need, but you're really assessing what outcome you're trying to help them with. So again, let's go to behind the scenes. Joe sat with us, had meetings. He didn't want to just come and be a talking head. He actually helped us design the event. So just as he's going to help people coming to the event create their experience building mindset and their approaches to how do I journey map and how do I think about my customer, how do I represent the arc of a project to somebody, and where would video come into that, and how can I reinforce that the customer is constantly confirming we're looking out for their interest. Video is a tremendous means of doing that. I do that internally just as a tip. I sit at my desk and record a video call to myself. I'm literally just creating a recording that I can attach to somebody and say, hey, I want you to think about this, and I might even illustrate it in some way in a very short video mail is what it ends up being, attached to my email often. So these kinds of things, we have to really start thinking innovatively, and sometimes it's just small nuggets every day. So Paul, you encountered Fatima, which was a great addition to the agenda. Tell me more.
That's right. I mean, we're trying to reach a large audience with this because, this could be any, and Fatima really helps us do that. We need to be resilient during these times, and we wanted an influential voice that can speak to strength building and engagement and productivity. And so one of the things Fatima is so great at is helping us create sustainable, long-term, sustainable, high-performance activities and being a high-performance person, not just at work, but also at home. So she is really excited about the ability to go from a presentation on a live stream, right, YouTube and Facebook, into these engaging workshops. And she has some really interesting workshops planned where we can get into small groups and do strength building. And so she's going to help us with those foundational strengths where we can tap into those and then apply them to collaboration and communication, which I think is going to be so powerful. And I'm very excited for this.
I think you've just set up where we're going next. First of all, you have a new book, which was kind of a foundation to how we could take a lot of what you put in here about effective meetings and bring it out to an interaction. So you just mentioned the Fatima workshopping. Same for Joe. Joe insisted that we would have time after each of these presenters where people would be able to absorb, to truly internalize some of what's going on. You'll have a session like that yourself, Paul. Tell us a little bit about the book. And by the way, it's going to be one of the things we're giving away by attending the conference.
Yeah, so this book, obviously, like I said in the beginning, I mean, a massive audience here of folks who have just started using online meetings. And it's almost a tragedy. There's a huge benefit, but there's a tragedy that I think most of these meetings are ineffective. And I'm so glad that many of our participants today have done some type of professional development to increase our effectiveness and efficiency with online meetings. I've even personally gone through a huge transformation of how effective my meetings can be. And I think just doing professional development, and this book obviously includes a lot of great tactical information on using Zoom in the best possible way, but also strategic information. And I think you can become just more optimistic about what these online meetings can do for you. And by kind of shifting the context in which you're thinking about online communications, and I get it, we're doing 10 to 20 Zoom meetings a week. We can get Zoom fatigue, right? I mean, we can get screen fatigue, but can we zoom out, change the perspective a little bit, because online communications isn't going anywhere, and take you guys on a journey where it's not just an online meeting, but it's a virtual event that's highly innovative. We really want to provide an experience here where, yes, we can reframe the way we're looking at online meetings, and this book is a great tool. It's a quick read. You can give this away for free to your customers as a lead gen on your website. So we're happy to provide that to Starin dealers as a PDF download. But it's an amazing opportunity to just reframe the way we're thinking about online meetings ourselves so that, to Bill's point, we can start leading by example, showing our customers how effective we are in our own meetings, and they start to get more value out of the technology and the services and the experiences that we provide.
Yeah, you're making a point with that offer of the online book being available. We're really in this together with the channel, our partners who are out to provide solutions and results of solutions, most importantly. And that's why we're really changing the conversation a little bit. I, for one, I no doubt have at least 20 plus scheduled meetings. I mean, we're owned by a company now that is in the UK, so I'm literally starting at 5 in the morning. But I have a lot of ad hoc calls, and I love them. In fact, I've tried, and I'm moving towards having my D10. I have my D10 here in my office, but I also have my desk just over the way. And having that as the prompt to call me, but leaving this on as my open door, that anybody in my company can pop their head into my office and say, "Hey, Bill." That happens a lot anyway in my ad hoc calls by way of Zoom chat. Ty Buell was suggesting he'll be speaking at our conference in terms of the reshaping of the office place. We'll also have from AV Nation an address on the reshaping of the home office. So that'll be an interesting tandem back-to-back discussion. But Ty was suggesting in the reshaping of the office that some inter-office panels will just be, rather than a digital signage panel, it could switch to, you're now looking, the Chicago office is now looking at the Detroit office, and get some degree of connectedness in that kind of thing. So all kinds of new and innovative ways to go about this. So this is kind of the how-to, what's inside the guide that you can expect to get out of it. But and again, it's meant to be giving insight also to the kind of thing that we're doing, virtual event. Paul, any insights?
Well, I'll say that we've done many virtual events, and we're always looking for partners to come and be part of these, because not only do they generate tons of great leads, which we can help distribute to our dealers and our partner channel, but right now the events industry is a $1 trillion industry that's trying to reinvent itself. And while that industry is actually suffering, they need solutions that are highly innovative. And once again, we're going through an interesting time. We're trying to sharpen the wheel, trying to show you guys how you can do this for your customers. And I know that I was reading about it from Avixia. As we were coming out of COVID-19, one of the good things was customers are asking about how to set up virtual events. And so we're going to give you the entire playbook here. In fact, we have a dealer channel partner webinar July 8th, 1 week before the President's Summit, where we're going to spend more time on the real behind the scenes here. But this is something that you can go to your customers and make sure that they have Zoom rooms and the technology in there to create a studio, a live streaming space, a webinar spot. That this is something that is essential, right, from communication standpoint. And this is that value add on top where you can start to have those high level conversations about maximizing a company's exposure online, but also getting, Bill's showing here the professional development track that we've designed using Zoom as that two-way communications. I mean, the applications here are massive. I mean, you could talk to any medium to large size company and say, hey, I can give you maximized exposure on social media for your message. Let's turn this into a cool virtual event. But then I can give your sales departments, I can give your marketing departments, whoever you want to connect with, your speakers, your thought leaders, and get them face-to-face with people coming from social media with maximized exposure into two-way personal communication. And if so needed, down into collaboration areas where they can have breakout sessions using Zoom. And this is an entire model that we've designed that we want to help you guys with. And we're going to have a full guide on how to do it. And I'm really excited about seeing what you guys do with this. And I think that by knowing how it all works and then attending, you'll be well prepared to provide this to your customers.
Yeah, there's a real convergence of the streaming world, and a lot of us has looked at it as kind of a broadcast area, or at least lineage. A lot of folks who've been in broadcast have moved that direction. But the convergence is between unified communications and streaming. And so the streaming studio is going to become pretty stock, a media hub, if you will, within organizations. I think AV at large is poised to be the bridge for those two practices. And we've tried to show that and be living it within our very own live stream track and pro development track. So Paul, explain a little bit about how the live stream will go down and what it's like for a VIP. We originally thought, well, is this for VIP folks? I thought at one point, it could be like an all access pass because you actually get to talk with Joe Pyne and Fatima and others and really have a little bit of a mashup in terms of not just questioning, answering, but Joe has some specific exercises that he's going to put you through. So it's meant to be a little more of that higher level of engagement where you can come in and out of these tracks. But go ahead and give a rundown of what that's all about.
Sure. So, I mean, live streaming over the past 5 years exploded. I remember when Facebook Live came out in 2016 and our business doubled overnight. We were very invested in the live streaming space. It still continues to grow very strongly, and it's really still the best public-facing way to maximize your exposure. So we have the live stream presentations, and after each presentation, we're inviting guests who want to be in the professional development track to these Zoom breakout sessions. And obviously, it really marries Zoom video conferencing, online communications, with live streaming, that one-way broadcast technology, which can accommodate hundreds of thousands, millions of viewers, right? Whereas Zoom, in a meeting session, we're going to cap that at 300 due to the small group breakout sessions that we want to keep quite small. So it's interesting, we're trying to marry the best possible small group collaboration experiences with the maximized social media exposure for large audiences that's very shareable on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube.
Even some peer exposure. Things I like about conferences. I know a gal from Boise State, and I met her at EduCause. You know what I mean? And we're still buddies, and we still link in and share. And so we want to be able to also stir that component up as well. The thing about a live event, we don't want to make it one shot. I said that earlier. So ahead of the event, there will be things like a communications assessment. One of our first presenters is going to have a discussion on communication styles. And so ahead of the event, any participant is going to be able to take the assessment and come to the event knowing their style and being able to put it into context with that presenter. So we're doing things that are pre-event, Persuasion. If you want to read that book, it tells you a lot about what we're attempting to do. But we also want to make this an ongoing experience, some community building. We want to have you invite customers to this, attach your name to it, so that, again, it looks like a value to them. This was a thought we had at this point in time to just do a quick poll of how do you view your readiness and scaling, adjusting for post-pandemic transformation on a rating of 1 to 100. You know, how do you view your organization and yourself? I think you're here today, so maybe that would imply that you have a degree of interest there.
Yeah, just pop it in the chat. So you just write in the Zoom chat if you have an idea of where you're at. It would be interesting because we're trying to push that number up with this event. And maybe we should have done 1 to 10, Bill, because it would have been a little easier. 1 to 100 is pretty specific.
You have more data points. It's a higher sampling rate, you know. Anyway, this was just a slide to start to suggest that we need to move towards what is the purpose the customer has for our talents and our capabilities, the people that you're trying to serve, the programs that drive that purpose and those people, and the properties. Too often, I think, as an industry, we concentrate on the properties, the things that they need. And we're making that transformational shift right now. So there will be, Paul mentioned, a full present summit day. There will be another webinar we're going to have that's really going to take you behind the scenes and how this all came together. And hopefully we'll even have some things to share afterwards about, ooh, this is something we would do different. Paul took you through the 2 tracks. So here, this basically shows from a streaming standpoint, we're going to be live on all of these different modes, channels?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we might not do Twitch because it's really a gaming platform.
Yeah.
We can, but I mean, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn is going to be the big one, and then Twitter.
Yeah. So again, we're looking for that convergence to be able to show to you. Paul has become a real devotee of Joe Pyne, and in fact is applying it in any way towards how we can assist you folks or people in our organizations. Paul, give us a little rundown of how the experience economy or the experience mindfulness kind of fits into some, I hesitate to say event building. I want to call it experience building.
Sure. And, you know, this is something I hope we can apply this to, you know, sharing of what we can do when we're talking about sharing what you do, sharing your value. But obviously we need to entice the world, right? And so we need to generate excitement and we need to gain attention. And that's the social media side. And then we need to set the stage and you know, prepare our audience for what we offer. Here is where, you know, from the world that we're living in today, that's kind of like your website. We're preparing the audience, setting the stage for who you are and what you offer. And I have to say, I'm in the process of redoing every single website that we have, because you got to tell your story and set the stage in a very simple, easy way. And I really think 99% of websites out there need to be redone. And don't take it the wrong way if you need to redo your website, but in today's day and age, that is setting the stage. That is preparing your audience for who you are. Now, when you engage them, when we're starting the action, that's the Zoom call, right? And that's where you're maybe introducing a little bit of drama and you're ascending towards some type of climax in the customer. You're trying to get them to engage with you. And why do you think Zoom backgrounds are so popular? Those Zoom video backgrounds. It makes it fun. There's different ways to brand yourself and make it a little bit more fun. That doesn't have to be a boring Zoom webinar. We want to ascend to somewhere and then, kind of coast to a resolution, right? So you've ascended to a moment where your customer and your client is saying, wow, that is what I need. And they've reached that spot in their mind. And now they're coasting to a resolution where you need to establish that memory. And you've already impressed and you're maybe surprising them a little bit. This is really good sales people, obviously, can kind of thrill and intrigue customers. What is it going to be like to work with this guy? This is really going to change my life. This is really going to be thrilling. I'm actually going to enjoy this. This is going to be, this is why they choose you over the other person, maybe even irregardless of price, because they want to just have a thrill right now. I mean, we're living through interesting times, and it's definitely worthwhile to think about that. And then if you can go the extra mile, extend that feeling that you've exited, you've finished the Zoom call, right? You've made your presentation, but you're still going to extend that experience. You're going to push the limits. You're going to go the extra mile. And this is where people start sharing your content, right? This guy was so amazing. I'm going to share it with my network of other CIOs, right? This is where people are compelled to give you referrals and things of that nature. So that's an idea of it. And Bill, the next slide takes it into a little bit of a different scenario. This is if you were up on stage maybe, or you were doing a webinar or a presentation. Obviously, you would try to get their attention and their focus, try to get them to engage. But you're in this process, and I think this is powerful for a lot of our channel partners, is the edutainment. You need to educate them enough so that they're intrigued and you're an authority figure in their mind, and they start to really absorb the information of the value that you can offer. But you're also not forgetting to entertain them and make it fun, make it enjoyable. It's almost more important than the education, to be honest, because you got to get that reaction. And you want them to commit, right? You want them to commit to change, and you're presenting changing context. And hopefully you are sparking a transformation, getting them to a level where they are almost, it's life-changing, right? I mean, they literally are so happy that you've provided so much value that you have reached, you've inspired them to do better in their own lives.
I think it's really important that extending of the event, we want to extend this event, for instance, because it's cyclical. You can look at that event sequence, the rise and then the settling to resolve, but it is actually circular. And you have to think of your customer experience encounters as dots along the circle, that there's constantly renewals and there's constantly means of confirming with the customer, getting feedback, taking those feedback loops to make adjustments in your service, to make improvements in your engagement, what have you. So it's an ongoing thing. And in this case, we'd like you to basically pick up the virtual ticket book that Paul put together. And this is our way of starting to extend this particular conversation with you. We'll be back, like I said, just a week before the actual summit itself with an insider view and more of a channel focused. We meant to be a little channel focused here today, but we're going to get into a little more nitty gritty even within an hour. This was the big, broader stroke picture of what we're doing. But keep in mind, this whole experience building, it can be about an online event, but it also is about how you just day to day construct a customer experience set of often sometimes called touch points and other means within a arc of a project. It can be, but also thinking about projects as the arc that continues into their utilization, into their satisfaction. Zoom has a great adage, almost a motto: deliver happiness. And we're very, very aligned with Zoom. And I think that underlying theme, that that mantra they have is something that drives it past the, okay, we licensed you, we're done. No, if you look at Zoom, they're constantly doing things to improve. And they are now, as I mentioned, getting in the world of streaming, getting into, there's a whole department being formed out of the professional services organization that is about event assistance. We are outfitting right now a slew of NBA courtside carts, and that happens to be a specific Zoom project in terms of integrating. I think you're going to see some real interesting turning of this interactive two-way capability that we have in what has traditionally been conferencing into, again, this video presence culture. You know what I mean? That the one-way media is going to become two-way media more and more. I think things like sports will show that. So obviously we're kind of jazzed about it, and really look at it as part of this frontier, this new frontier that we're heading out to. So you can sign up at our website here, PresenceSummit.com. If you want to get into the professional track, we still have some spaces there. Anything else in terms of summary, Paul?
Well, if anyone has any questions, I would be happy to answer them. It seems like a good chance to do that. I'm really excited about it. The virtual ticket book that we showed there is a great chance to, if you want to wrap your head around this, we know it's a big market. As Bill said, Zoom is literally opening up an entire division for this. It's a big market. And it's great because events are online. So it opens you up the way it opens your customers up. And what I mean by that, if you're a lawyer in St. Louis, Missouri, you used to only have customers in St. Louis, but now you can work with people all across Missouri because you have Zoom, right? Well, this also, virtual events, I know people that who've read the book and called me and said they're doing so many virtual events for their customers, they're getting double booked. Honestly, I was talking to IMS in Ireland and they told me that. So there's so many opportunities for virtual events. It's a global opportunity. So read the book. I'm here to help. This is going to be an opportunity to be part of one and see behind the scenes how it all works. So I really hope that it becomes valuable to you, closes more business for you. And this is going to be really great. I'm excited for it.
So hopefully you have a bit of a heightened awareness. I think everybody's heightened. It's a very fierce time in terms of swings in the marketplace. And I think we all have to be really nimble at this stage, agile to move with it. We want to help you through that. We want to be able to help you help your customer. So things like the books, they'll get the online guide at the session, at the day itself. So we'll be talking to you about that in that week before, channel only. We want to basically make sure that we have some folks who want to, again, extend this experience out. We hope that we will have some means for customers who attend this to get assessments, to have a good look at what their needs and interests are and how they're facing the hybrid scenario and how we can help them out both at home. And I'll just make a quick mention on that. I think there's a real opportunity now for at home. I happen to have a D7 here. Anybody in the audience who has any experience in the residential world knows that the home theater installs generally tend to be higher income and therefore tend to be higher performance people in respect to what they're doing in an organization. And so I don't think they would hesitate to really deck out their home office in ways. I think there'll be several strata, if you will, different levels of capabilities in terms of that high-end executive, the mid-manager, And then the performance group, those who, you know, an at-home CAD worker may have a different need for his cockpit, his unified communications center to be different from somebody who is in another area, maybe marketing design and what have you. So I think we start to need to look at function. We start to need to look at purpose and be able to start offering full across the enterprise. I'll say that this is what I've been saying. Perhaps it's time for AV to get out of the room and into the enterprise. So there'll be more with that as we come back. And we'll see you in just a couple weeks, because we're about 3 weeks away from the event itself. And therefore, just a couple weeks away from that pre-show channel only audience. So
thanks so much for joining, everybody. We appreciate your time. We know you're busy. We know you're doing a lot of Zoom meetings, obviously. So this is a chance to zoom out for a little bit and really take advantage of this. And I know that the changing of your perspective is going to lead to more business for you in the future.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.